This audio kind of sucks.
But this one doesn't, and why is that? Well, one simple reason. Acoustic
treatment. If you're in a room like this with lots of flat walls and a hard floor, audio's gonna bounce around everywhere and sound terrible.
However, if you're in a space that's treated a little bit better, maybe with some acoustic foam on the wall and carpet on the floor and stuff, using an on-camera microphone like this one can still sound pretty great. So today I'm actually checking out Elgato's wave panels and installing a couple of them behind me, as well as just talking about acoustic treatments in general to hopefully improve your audio. Elgato recently sent me out a box of their wave panels to check out, which I've kind of been storing while I'm decorating, along with all these other boxes of stuff that I need to unbox, make content on and stuff like this. So this little one has kind of adopted it into like a makeshift cat tree at the moment. So you're going to be very unhappy, aren't you, when I actually take this box upstairs to add it into my office. So this is the box that Elgato sent me out. I believe it's their wave panel starter kit, which means I should have 6 panels in this box. They also do an extension kit where you can add an extra 2 to your set. But if you're buying this, what do you actually get in the box? So in the box you actually get the 6 wave panels, as well as a whole bunch of hardware for mounting it to the wall, and finally some paperwork with information and setup instructions. Oh, and I also picked up some spare like command strips myself, because obviously the kit includes its own mounting options. It's got screws as well as strips included. However, I wasn't sure if that would be enough or if it'll have issues in the future, so it's always good to have some spare just in case. So the plan is hopefully going to be take all of these wave panels and set them up properly, and then we're going to install them on this wall over here, which does mean moving these other Elgato boxes and taking your other makeshift cat tree box away from you. I haven't figured out the exact pattern I'm going to do with these wave panels yet, because obviously there's 6 of them and you can do them in different shapes and styles and stuff, so I'm sure that's something I'll figure out along the way. But before then, we need to talk about the actual placement of acoustic panels and why it's important, and if you're new to this, where you should put yours. Let's get one thing straight before we actually start, and that is acoustic foam isn't soundproofing, it's sound treatment. It's not going to stop noise escaping the space that you're in. What it actually does is absorb and disperse your audio so that it doesn't bounce off walls and end up hitting your microphone again, causing like reverb and echo and just unwanted noise on your content. Most beginner creators want acoustic foam for aesthetic reasons. They just see other creators using it and don't really know why. They just think it looks good and cool in their setup, so they go out and buy the cheapest foam possible off Amazon or somewhere, stick it up in their room randomly, and just hope for the best. And honestly, that's a perfectly valid thing to do, because obviously it's nice to have an aesthetic looking place, especially if you're going to be a streamer or a content creator. You want your background to look nice. However, if you also want the audio benefits, it's important to figure out where these things should be placed. If you're a musician or a voiceover artist or something, I would advise putting some sound panels in front of you, to the sides, and also above you. But a big problem with that is that most musicians, voiceover artists, that type of stuff aren't going to have multiple big PC screens directly in front of them, which means that when they are talking or singing, it's going to hit the foam, be dispersed, and then not come back, whereas you have screens. So that means that when you're talking, the first thing that your audio hits is the screen, and then that's going to come directly back at you. So I would advise, if you're a live streamer, to put your foam panels straight behind you, then to the sides, then above you, and then last but not least, obviously, then behind your monitors and stuff, because obviously they'll make a bit of a difference, but not the biggest with the big pieces of plastic and stuff in front of you. If you want to take your acoustic treatment a little bit more seriously and figure out specifically where you should be placing these foam pads and stuff, then you can kind of do that by using a mirror. And the way you would do that is basically find your microphone here and then place it exactly where you would have it, usually for your live streams. And then with your mirror, you want to actually take that and place it against the wall and look into it, and if you can see your microphone reflected in the mirror, that's where you should kind of place your actual acoustic foam, and do this kind of the whole way along the walls, and that should kind of cover the entire space. If you can see the microphone, place it. If you can't, doesn't matter. So what exactly is the difference between buying like the cheap generic foam panels and paying a little bit more for these like Elgato ones? And obviously it's not just aesthetics, it actually comes down to acoustic like performance, because the cheap ones are less dense. They're a really thin foam, which means they will actually help the space a little bit, but they're only going to really stop reflections and like reverb from higher frequencies in your voice, which isn't that much of a problem. Most of the reverb and echo and stuff comes from mid to bass frequencies instead, and that's why the Elgato one costs a little bit more and performs a bit better, because if you can see here, it actually has 2 separate layers of foam here on the actual like acoustic panel. So you've got the thin layer, which is like what you'd pay for the generic ones, but then underneath you have this more dense, thicker layer, which is designed to avoid more like bass and like low voice frequencies. For the longest time, I've been using these types of acoustic panels here, which are honestly fantastic because, well, these are actually made from rock wool instead of like cheap foam, which means they're more dense and can actually absorb lower frequencies than their cheaper counterparts. However, these kind of types of panels, as you can see, are kind of expensive. Each one costs around £80, whereas an entire box of Elgato like wave panels for 6 of them and so is about 100 or so, which is definitely not cheap, I'll give you that. But I find that the Elgato wave panels are like that good mid-ground between really high quality, affordable, and aesthetics. So although they do cost more than the cheap generic ones, they look better, will perform better, and just generally are kind of worth the money without going to like ridiculous amounts of like professionalism. Something I really like about the Elgato wave panel system is basically how you end up mounting these to the wall, because cheaper options obviously don't have like an actual system. You end up gluing it to the wall, or gluing it to a piece of board and then nailing that to the actual wall, and it's very messy, convoluted, takes forever, and probably damages your actual room that you're in. Where the Elgato one comes with these actual like mounts that you basically end up just clipping together, and then once it's actually clipped into this shape, you can just take these panels, match up the holes, and then attach them together so they actually like lock in, and then all you have to do is to either command strip on the back, or you can use screws to mount these to the actual wall, which is a much better system than trying to wing it with the cheaper stuff. Alright, so it took a little while to set this up, not through Elgato's fault. I just really couldn't figure out the pattern and how to actually like set this up, but I think I've actually come to something that I actually kind of like and is kind of useful and looks good on my wall, so I'm more than happy with how this looks right now. However, I may need to get a couple more of these actual panels because I would love to have one here and then hopefully cut like a hole in the middle so my tube light goes through it, and then just fill the wall up a little bit more so it doesn't look as patchy. But looks great, and honestly, it improves the sound of it. Listen to this. The lighting in this corner is probably terrible right now, but this is the side of my room with no acoustic treatment. There's no panels, no anything. It's literally just posters and stuff on my wall. But as you can kind of hear, doesn't sound great. There's a little bit of echo, a bit of reverb, and it kind of could definitely be improved. But if we move to the side of the room where I literally just added all the acoustic panels and stuff, you should be able to hear that it sounds a lot drier now. There's hardly any reverb or echo or anything, and even if I'm quite far away from the actual microphone, it still sounds pretty great. Overall, I'm genuinely impressed with how good these audio panels are, because not only are they improving the sound quality in this space, they also look great and aesthetic and obviously look fantastic on camera, although you can improve it by adding a light back there to show off the texture a little bit better. Is this something that everyone should buy? Probably not, but it is a nice upgrade, especially if you want to improve your audio quality, because ultimately setting up a microphone properly is going to do the biggest amount for your actual audio quality. But if you're in a big space or in a specific like flat walled room where it is kind of echoey, things like this can really help. Anyway, hopefully this video was useful for you. If you do want to check out the Elgato panels and stuff, remember that you can actually get 5% discount if you use my code on the Elgato store. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, which was a little bit different to my usual ones, a bit more informal, a bit like a vlog and stuff. And if you want to improve the quality of your microphone, check out this video I made recently, which will show you exactly how to do that.